Hi guys, it's me, Kat, Mrs. Handy. Are you? I hope you're all doing really well today. Well, I have a bit of news about the Hezbollah Israel-Iran conflict that's going on right now. And the State Department put out a short on YouTube, the U.S. State Department. And this gentleman said, starting around 12:30 Eastern Time today, this was on October 2nd, Iran launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles into Israel. And around 12:30 Eastern Time was the time that President Kennedy took himself out of the movie on 11/22/63. So I think that's why they said around 12:30 Eastern Time. Because they really could have said the exact time. They could have, but anyway, they didn't. And let's see. So he said the United States once again came to Israel's defense, just as when Iran launched its April 13th attack. Israel, with direct assistance from the United States and its partners, was able to successfully defeat this attack. And then the key part that to me was, every nation in the world must join us in condemning it. Now that's the last part of the phrase, in condemning it, right? But to me, he's double talking, and he's every nation in the world must join us. We're talking about the beginning of what we've waited for 3 years, at least on this channel, World War III. A fake one. And I've said this since the beginning of doing this. It won't be real. And if you control the media, you can control anything. And all you have to do is get actors like from that central casting company that I talk about all the time. Central Casting is the United States largest casting company for body doubles, extras, people like that. All you need is that. You've got the media. They have to do what you say. And you have the bit players and the actors. Let's see. Okay. Every nation in the world must join us. And he said, our support for Israel's security is ironclad. Sorry about the paper noise. That was kind of loud. So starting around 12:30, in simple gematria, which is A equals 1 through Z equals 26. And I use a database called gematrix.org. And I listen to what God says that the matches should be, and I've done this for a while. So I have storylines. They're given to me, and you'll get the same thing. You'll get storylines, and you'll be told what you should write down or put in your phone. Anyway, it equals extinction level event apocalypse. And it equals all these are the beginning of sorrows. I think it's the beginning of a lot of stuff. Bibi, and this matches. Bibi, and that's Benjamin Netanyahu's nickname. Bibi was removed and replaced, so now what? And he has, I'm sure he has, just like Biden and everybody else. They're all actors, and they're in a white hat movie, not a cabal movie. Let's see, another match to starting around 12:30 that he said in the YouTube short equals the greatest story ever to be told, because this is going to be like everybody's going to think one thing's happening, and it's not happening. And it equals love is the message, and that's twice. Love is the message. So that's what's going on. Everybody's going to get together, take care of each other, and get through this together. So he used the word ironclad, and then in Jewish gematria it's 207. It equals staged and fabricate. And ironclad and simple is 76, and it equals victim, crying, actors, coverage, and the dawn, like D-O-N. President, it's like President Trump signed it when I see things like that come up. Ironclad, it also equals the plan, safety, hidden agenda. And also fasting. And when President Lincoln was trying to get through the Civil War, he had the country pray and fast more than one time. And that's what turned the tide with Gettysburg, when that battle was, it was the first one that was successful. And the whole country prayed and fasted. And I think that's going to happen again. And it will bring people together. And it's, you know, that, what is it, that one mind? You guys probably know, and it's escaping me right now. It's like everybody together, you have one mind. And they're just like a theory. Anyway. But when everybody prays and fasts together, things will change. And the world is going to change. Okay. And once again, equals, in Jewish Gematria 156, it equals false flappy thing on a flagpole. So, of course, it matches that, you know? Because that's what's happening, those false flappy things. Let's see. Once again, in simple is 69. Sorry, my nose is itchy. And it equals, who am I? And I haven't tried to figure out who this gentleman was, but I'm sure he's one of our people, undercover. Once again, also equals peaceful. Like there's nothing really happening. You're going to hear special effects going on with noise, and you're going to see smoke and things that look like they've exploded and all that. And he said April 13th attack. And in Jewish, it's 840, and it equals Jonathan, which makes you think of JFK, JR. Savin, S-A-V-I-N, like Juan. That's like, to me, that's Diana, usually. You know, I think Jackie was there too, but I think Juan is usually Princess Diana. And it equals kill someone already. Because April 13th attack, I don't think anybody died. I really don't. So it's so funny, it matches kill someone already. It's pretty funny. These guys have a really good sense of humor. April 13th attack in simple is 239, and it equals 1963, and that's the year President Kennedy took himself out of the movie. And World of Warcraft, best AI, and you know, has World and War in there. And that matches April 13th attack, so that was cool. So anyway, that was from a YouTube short, so I kind of got a lot out of that. Let's see. So Lisa D, hi Lisa. Lisa D told me about an SG Anon video, a recent video, and she said he mentioned New Hampshire a couple of times at least, and Seabrook, New Hampshire. Seabrook is like an infamous town, infamous in our state anyway, and it's because there's a nuclear power plant there, and there's not wonderful escape routes planned for Seabrook. You know, it would be a lot of bottlenecks and things, and everybody's always been upset about that around here. And anyway, so I think he mentioned New Hampshire and that nuclear power plant because he's going to be he's referring to the future fake nuclear attacks that will look like they're happening in the Middle East and in the United States. That's my theory. In New Hampshire, because he said it a couple times, he said equals simple 139, and it's encryption, like a code, and it equals in Jewish no weapons and no more war. And it equals Fitzgerald Kennedy, President Kennedy's middle and last name, and it equals perfect match to Jen, perfect match to Jen. Hi, Jennifer Mack. And Jennifer Mack, as far as I can tell, is always Diana and Jackie. And I know they're everywhere, all at one time. I know that. It sounds off the wall. But I think people can be in a million places at one time doing a million different things. And that's kind of what time travel is. I don't think it's just like, oh, I'm going to go back to the 1800s. I don't. I think it's just like kind of like fractals of people all over creation, just everywhere. Let's see. So Steve Lookner on Agenda Free TV does live streams about what's going on in Israel, and he does it sometimes up to 12 hours a day. And this is another Diana fractal. That's the way I'm going to look at it, because JD told me about fractals of people or fractals of God. And so I'm just going to call, when I find these people, fractals, because I don't know how else to think about it. Hi, JD. And anyway, so he's been on, Steve Lookner, who's really not a guy. He's been on broadcasting for like hours on end, and talking about what's going on with Israel, Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran. And, you know, he said, I know, this was today, this morning, I know some of you have seen that horrible video. And first thing I thought of was the Clinton video, Hillary Clinton one from the Clinton emails where the New York City police got sick and all that. Anyway, and he said, a lot. And, you know, UH, and in this next section, and in simple gematria, it's 29, and that's Diana. President Trump did that. I can't remember what it was. Press conference, I think it was. And he said, all the time. And President Trump doesn't do that. He doesn't say that. He speaks very clearly, and he doesn't do like me with and everything. And he said, a lot, because that's Diana, and that's who was playing him at that press conference. That must have been the end of September sometime. So, okay, so Steve on Agenda Free TV is saying, sorry about Misty, she's crying. Beirut is a major city with millions of people. And as of a couple of weeks ago, now listen to this double talking. I don't think people in, like Beirut in parentheses in your head, I don't think people anticipated warfare coming anytime soon. And now you have it in Beirut. And this is not central Beirut, but central Beirut is a pretty small area. I got this word for word, obviously. But I mean, I'll show you on a map. You should think like 10 miles away. It's basically a big city, and the central part, and when he said that, I thought Central Park in my head. I don't think he really said that, but to me it was Central Park. And the central part is called Central Beirut, and outside that is called the suburbs. But you know, it's smaller than like New York City. So he brings up New York City. Okay. And he's saying a major city with millions of people. And a couple of weeks ago, I don't think people in Beirut anticipated warfare coming anytime soon. And then he brings up New York City. And he said, basically, it's a big city. 2 miles is about 40 city blocks in Manhattan. So you're seeing from the southern suburbs. So you're seeing it from the southern suburbs is what he's saying, like these fake attacks with all the smoke and everything and the noise. So I feel like he meant it's kind of referring to Central Park in a way, and New York City, and then he even brought up Manhattan. And he also said, I don't think anybody thought about war coming anytime soon. Anyway, so I think it'll look like New York and maybe other places. I've been thinking Chicago and just in general, big cities. And then right after he says, thank you to Cindy Lou. Because he says thank you when people donate. And Lisa D, my friend that I talk about all the time, hi Lisa, she's been talking about someone named Cindy Lou, which is funny, isn't it? And the name Cindy Lou comes up, and they know what we think and say, and they're giving comms back to us. And I didn't decode Cindy Lou, I should have, but Lisa D, you can decode Cindy Lou, okay? And And then a bit later on, he said, don't overreact to my tweet. And he goes, not World War III, not World War III, not World War III. 3 times in a row. Well, it's going to look like World War III. And he said, I would just not overreact to it. That's all I am saying, he said to the chat and the people listening. That's all I am saying. Well, he's not. He's double talking, and he's talking in Bible code, in gematria. That's all I am saying. And then right after that, he said, thank you, Elena Veno, V-E-N-O, and that's a name in my family. So we have someone from Lisa D that she's been talking about, and then we have a family name in here for me. And he says, I'm sorry all the time. Steve does. And I think it's because he's saying, I'm sorry for all the pain and suffering that we're going through, and that after the beast event, Revelation 11, you can look it up. There's supposed to be 2 witnesses, but I think there's 4. They get chewed up and spit out, whatever. It's really gross. I'm sorry. And then they look like they die. Well, they do. They die. And then they come back 3.5 days later, 3.5. And President Kennedy was POTUS 35. I don't think that's a coincidence. 3.5 days look like they're dead. And everybody's mourning. And I think it's probably Junior and President Kennedy and Jackie and Diana. I think that makes sense to me. But as you know, I've been wrong before, and I can be wrong about this. So anyway, because if nobody died on the cross or crosses, maybe there was several, right? Then nobody was a replacement for our sins. Anyway, that means sins of the fathers continue. Everybody's sick. Because, you get sick from all this stuff, and after the beast event, is what I call it, Revelation 11, then I think our DNA possibly gets, the part that's asleep wakes up, and our DNA heals our bodies, and that we're the med beds. So that's my theory. I don't know. Anyway. And then he said, because that's when I became a member of the channel, I wanted to see what he'd say. It's a small amount per month when you join the channel. You hit the join button, like my channel has a join button. And thank you for my members too. Anyway, so I joined Agenda Free TV, and he sees when you join. So he's live, right? Talking. And I knew he'd say something. And he said, thank you, Mrs. Handy are you. Thank you for being a new member. Now, that's not earth-shatteringly interesting or different or anything like that, but he knows I code. I know I code. You guys know I code. So I coded it every which way from Sunday. So anyway, then he said, before I do the coding, he said, I'm just doing a check, see if I have any new updates for you. And that was right after he said something to me. So I'm like, oh, that's for me. You're going to give me some information that I can work on. And let's see, he said, President Biden said today that nothing was going to happen in terms of the Israel response to Iran today. And it was a Jewish holiday. I'm not good with the Jewish holiday names, but it might have been Rosh Hashanah. It's 2 days. So I think it ends tomorrow, which is Friday. And I could be wrong. Anyway, I know it's a holiday though. So anyway, but that double talking, President Biden said today that nothing was going to happen in terms of the Israel response to Iran today. He's saying nothing is going to happen because nothing is happening. And then he said, we'll see if that's the case. And to me, he said the word case because it makes me think of a case under the rear seat of the Lincoln limo when Jackie and President Kennedy pulled out their automatons, you could call it, their dummies, because they weren't just inanimate, they could move. And they put them on the seat of the Lincoln limo. They're behind the billboard when they did all this. And the press was way behind because even though normally they're right behind the limo, they were told they had to be way, way back. So They didn't see any of this. And the rear seat was raised up, and that's where the cases were, down under the rear seat, so they could reach under like a trap door kind of thing and pull them out. And then they just got out and took off, and somebody picked them up. And that's what I think happened. And I think they were dressed as old people, but I'm not, with like canes and all that kind of thing. Okay, let's see. He said, thank you, Mrs. Handy are you. Thank you for being a new member. Well, Mrs. Handy are you equals simple 201, Mrs. Jesus Christ. He's telling me he's a woman. And now, granted, Jesus is probably the wrong name for everything, that character, and there's probably, like I said, maybe there's several that's supposed to be on the cross, because I think a lot of them screwed up in the Garden of Eden, and I think that's why they had to go up there. They did be on the cross to kind of not get even, but anyway, even it out. Okay. And it also equals a President Trump phrase, we are a nation in decline, and it equals figure it out yet. So every time he'd say that at the end of a rally and all that sad music is playing, he's saying, Mrs. Jesus Christ. He's saying he's a woman. Diana in the costume usually. Figure it out yet. Lord of ancient Greeks. And I've been saying that the Greek and Roman gods are not mythical, that they're real, and they had real powers that God gave them, and they were sent to help us. Yeah. And they're here now as our main characters, and other characters too that I haven't been mentioning. So I took the capitals from the sentence, and it's, let's see, game day, iron, and then that was Jewish, and in simple it's 93, and it equals ancient goddess, I am Yahweh, an iron dome, and that's what the missile defense for Israel is called. It's called the Iron Dome, and end of days, and bisexual matches, because Steve is usually, a woman. Well, not usually, is a woman, and Diana. Let's see. And thank you, Mrs. Handy are you. Now, you gotta, okay, before I do that, I gotta tell you, I texted Lisa D, and just before all this happened, and I sent her a picture of my Trader Joe's coffee, and it has two men on it, and that's a twin reference. Trader Joe's and Aldi's are all connected to this stuff. I know that's weird, but it's a white hat kind of company that's been around for a long time, both of them, I should say. And anyway, so I had I had a photo of the Trader Joe's coffee, and I was explaining how Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. was the older brother of President Kennedy, and he died in a plane crash in World War II, and came back. So he wasn't really the older brother. He's older by 2 minutes, is how I figure it. He wasn't really older by 2 years. He's older by 2 minutes, and he's a twin, and I got that through coding. And a friend that's like an inside person gave me a hint, so that definitely helped. Joe Tan, hi Joe, and thank you. And so they were twins, and Joseph Patrick died in a plane crash. Maybe he didn't really die, whatever, but anyway, came back as JFK Jr. So maybe Jackie didn't really give birth to Junior. I don't know about that part, but maybe she did. Reincarnation, right? And so Junior would be, if he was Joseph Patrick reincarnated into Junior, that means he's the twin brother of his President Kennedy, plus he's his son. I know that's off the wall, but I've talked about that a lot in the past. Anyway, I talked to her about that, and I said that's why they call the people that travel around to watch President Trump and they get in the front row, they call them the front row Joes. So that's what I told her in the text about the coffee, about Joseph Patrick, and then about, anyway. So, yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. You can tell, right? You can tell. Anyway, so he came back. Yeah, and did Joseph Patrick fake his death? I mean, that's a question, right? I mean, anything's possible. I don't know. So anyway, so thank you, Mrs. Handy Are You equals Jewish Gematria 1961, and that equals Front Row Joe. Okay, so me joining the channel and all that happened after I texted Lisa D and talked about, you know, Joseph Patrick, and I told her that's the reason they call the guys that travel with President Trump's rallies Front Row Joes, da 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 da. And it matches Front Row Joe. Like, that's not a coincidence. They know, she knows what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, everything. And you should talk to them. Like I said before, you should talk to them. They're all part of God. All these fractals are part of God. All these characters, all these Diana people, all these Junior people, all of them are part of God. So talk to them. And okay, so another match to 1961. Okay, it's a weird one. I agreed to fake die in order to save, comma, God. Okay, I put the comma in there. But did Joseph Patrick fake his death? Is that a reference to that? It could also be a reference to Jesus not really dying, or whatever the name we're going to use, not really dying, and fake the death, and everybody believes that he died. I mean, that's the way people think of it, like Jesus died for our sins, right? And then covered our sins, so God sees us pure. You know what I mean? So anyway, they're talking about faking the death was a match. And also, I found my twin flame via Gematria, and that to me is like a Diana Jackie reference and a Junior President Kennedy reference. And also it equal, they never expected me to make it. So is that's yet again, is it a cross reference? Oh my gosh, that's why you say the word cross reference. Oh my gosh. Things that hit me, you know, right when I'm doing this stuff. And it also equals thank you for doing this for me. So it's like, oh, is he saying thank you to, or is she saying thank you for doing this to me? Maybe. I hope so. And then I added in the second line, when he said, thank you for becoming a member. So there's a capital T in that line. So then I added it to the first line. Thank you, Mrs. Handy Are You. So I added another T to all those capitals, TMMHRUT, and that's Jewish 548, and it equals chosen messenger. And I'm thinking maybe I got chosen, but I also think you're all chosen, because you're all telling everybody things, either in the past or present or in the future. Chosen messenger, and Prince of Deceit and Lies, and that's like a reference to Steve telling all these stories, right? And it equals Grammy. So all of those capitals in what he said to me equals Grammy, like just an award for things, you know, like to me it's like a fake award. Grammy, of course, is singing, but still. And in simple, all the capitals are 113, and it equals this is it. Secret plan, white hats, and operation. So anyway, thank you for being a new member, which he says to everybody. It equals Jewish 2106, and it equals Jesus is a woman, and God please. Now, Grant, this is not serious, right? This is just a match, and I'm not saying this seriously, but it equals God please nuke Israel. And you say it 3 times, like it's 3 times in a row. And anyway, but that's what he's talking about, is like the potential anyway of what could happen. And then it deceives everyone, matches. Thank you for being a new member. And it equals 2, and the word 2 5 times in a row. So 5 is comms. You have 2 because he's really 2 people. And that's it. So that was long. Sorry. I have some fun stuff too. I don't know if I should tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Anyway, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. It was a half hour. And as you can see, all you guys that have stuck around this long, you're awesome. And you must really know me by now if you stay around for the whole videos. Anyway, so I got my wood floors done. I don't know if you can see anything different, but they look different to me. And they're better than they were when they were new, so that's cool. And so that's done, but I don't have all my furniture back, like my table and the buffet, my coffee bar, and I don't have my sofa back in or big things like that. So I'm hoping soon, gonna manifest them coming back into my home, all set up. I can decorate and everything, because I love decorating. And anyway, so I hope you guys are all doing really well, and you know, I do care a lot about you guys. I love you guys. You guys have helped me through a lot, as you know. And anyway, so take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye.